I don't know if you listened on Tuesday, but Kyle Anthony, the best UFC handicapper on the planet, wanted to see you and I in a cage match.
Welcome to Kyle Anthony's UFC Betting Show. I am Kyle Anthony, and welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the betting show for UFC 283, Jamahal Hill versus Glover Teixeira, a title fight, two title fights that we're going to be seeing on Saturday night. Excited to break this one down like we always do here. We're going to break down two fights on the card, especially we're breaking down a deep dive into the main event. And if you want to become a client, link down in the description there. I've got 5 plays up for this weekend. One of them is a max play that I absolutely love. Have it up there for clients right now. Over the last 3 years, I am up 105 units for my clients through Wagertalk, and as well as last year up 43 units for clients. And last year, I was #1 ROI, return on investment capper in 2022 in all sports. So become a client. It is the best way financially, becoming a client instead of buying weekly packages. The year one is going to be a little bit better for you. But I'm excited here to break this one all down. We're going to dive right into this here. I am excited about it. So I guess let's get right into it. Let's get right into Glover Teixeira versus Jamahal Hill, and I am excited about this one. And right now you got the current line. You got Jamahal Hill is -140. That's starting to tick up a little bit. And the comeback here, you've got Glover Teixeira at +115. Like we always do, we're going to talk about 3 fights for each fighter, see what we see if one fighter can expose the other fighter, and if the line makes sense to place a wager. So we're first going to talk about Glover Teixeira, and 3 fights ago, he fought Thiago Santos. Now, this was an interesting fight here because right away you saw Glover got rocked. Now, this was something that was, I think more past than it is something that's kind of happening now about worrying about his chin. Does he have that durability? Can he keep going? Is he just going to get sparked out? Here, he got rocked early. Santos throws some heat. He got rocked, but the one thing that Glover does, and we've seen him do it, we're going to talk about it a couple different times here, is when he gets rocked, he just has this uncanny ability to latch on, get legs, look for takedowns, get control, whether he's up against the fence or controlling from top position after he gets that takedown and after he's rocked. And so that's what he did. He went out there, got the takedown, got top control, latched on, had some ground and pound, and right into that second round, basically the same exact thing happened there. Glover did not want to mess around with Santos. Santos throws the heat, rocked him in that first round. Second round, Glover got the takedown, and the whole round he was on top, working top control, submission hunting, really trying to do certain things to kind of just keep him down there, drain his cardio, as well as submission and ground and pound. Going into that third round, Santos wanted no part of it. He goes for the big shot right out the gate, lands it again, rocks Glover. Glover ends up coming back to, latching on. Somehow again, he gets a takedown, finds an opportunity to get to the back, rear naked choke for him there in that third round. So Glover wins. So there you have it there. And the other one here, we're going to talk about 2 fights ago. He fought Jan Blachowicz. This was an interesting fight here too, because this was another spot where you know what you're going to get with Glover. He's going to go for these takedowns. He's going to shoot. Someone like Jan, who's a big, strong guy, he was able to get him down right away, get top control. It was another good spot for him there where he's comfortable, keeping him in that position, holding him down, working ground and pound. The entire first round was pretty much Glover on top control, and I think that Jan was just so worried about how elite Glover's submission game is. He wanted no part of it. He wanted to take his time and then get back to his feet in that second round. That's what he did. But, I mean, again, you go in there per usual. Glover gets hurt. Glover gets clipped a little bit in there in that fight. Gets the takedown again. Ground and pound. Takes him. Gets the back. Another submission victory. Again, it's kind of crazy that he's able to do this back to back. And we've seen it even prior to these fights. Getting hurt. Getting these takedowns. But there you have it there. He goes out there and becomes the champ, and that was Jan Blachowicz 2 fights ago. And then most recently, he fought Yuri Prochazka. This was fight of the year. I'm not going to dive into this one because I could probably do an entire breakdown just on this fight. But we all know what happened. It was an insane fight. The takedowns happened, the back and forth, Glover controlling with these takedowns, keeping opportunities for him to kind of control, get the takedown, submission hunting, ground and pound. Yuri landing the more damaging shots, able to kind of rock Glover a couple times, just a back and forth. I did have Glover, that was a client play for me, but man, I I thought I won and lost that fight about 5 or 6 times. So crazy fight there. He ends up getting the victory though, Yuri does, via submission in that 5th round. If he does not go for that jumping guillotine, I think Glover goes in there and cashes us in. But either way, Yuri gets a submission and gets the victory. And then on the other side here, you got Jamahal Hill. Jamahal Hill 3 fights ago fought Jimmy Crute. This one here, not much to break down here, but I got to give a lot of credit to Hill here. Hill is a sniper. He's got great boxing. He goes in there. Crute is a tough dude. Clipped him once, dropped him early in the fight. I think it was about 20 seconds. And then about 20 seconds later, he ends up throwing another nice hook, drops him, finishes him with a big shot on his way down. TKO, fight over. Jamahal Hill wins via 1st round knockout in 48 seconds. And then 2 fights ago, he fought Johnny Walker. Another one here where we, this guy's got the glass chin here, and it's a perfect setup for Jamahal Hill to land that big shot. He goes in early, a lot of back and forth, and Walker was trying to get him up against the fence a little bit, kind of change the pace. Once he started getting clipped up a little bit, he wanted to try to change the pace a little bit. He really wasn't able to do that because once again, the awkward knockdown that Jamahal had, but he lands a big shot. Johnny Walker kind of flops backwards. It almost looked like a soccer player kind of taking a flop, but he ends up finishing with a big shot, ends him in that 1st round. So a knockout victory for Jamahal Hill. And then most recently, he fought Thiago Santos. This one here was another one where they were both firing back and forth. It actually looked to be like a pretty competitive fight early, where they were both throwing big shots, both landing. Santos kind of looked like he was, gonna finally fire some shots, where he really wasn't doing that for the last few fights. He started doing that, but man, Santos is just not the same guy that he used to be. The animal instinct is gone. Once we got into that 2nd round, he really didn't have too much, didn't really see much. Jamahal started picking him apart, but the one big part about this fight is the fact that Santos took down Hill 6 times. That is a lot for a guy who does not have takedowns, who does not look for the takedowns, who has no offensive grappling and offensive wrestling, and was able to get these takedowns. Not able to control them, but it's interesting enough to see that he was able to get the takedowns, and who he's fighting on Saturday night. But he goes out there, Jamahal Hill does survive, gets standing, scrambles, gets back to his feet, lands some big shots, gets the finish. So there you have it there. Jamahal Hill wins via knockout in the 4th round. So with that being said, obviously when you look at these 2 guys, you got Jamahal Hill. He's the rangy striker. He's got power in his hands, quick developing combinations. He's pretty good with his angles and his range. Overall on his feet is really fantastic. On the other side here, you've got Glover Teixeira, former champion, battle-tested, kind of guy that once he latches onto you, he's going to look for those submissions, a high elite level submission specialist, as well as he's got some pretty good striking as well too. But I think the big elephant in the room here is this 43-year-old versus a 31-year-old, and a lot of people are kind of talking about that. And the fact that he's 43. When you get over 10 years of separation between your opponent, a lot of times the younger guy's going to come through. But Glover's not your average guy. He's not your average aging former UFC champion that is kind of, ticking down, not looking as good, getting knocked out. There was that point, a couple of years ago where we kind of, I think a lot of the MMA community kind of was done with Glover, saying this guy can't take a shot. He's getting blasted out constantly. He can't keep upright. He just goes down pretty quickly. That was part of it. But now we're starting to see that Glover, Glover now is, what is he? He's 6-1 out of his last 7 appearances. This is dating back 2 years. That doesn't sound like an old man that's ticking down. His only loss over that span was against Yuri Prochazka, a fight we just kind of talked about a little bit. Fight of the year. And if anybody ever had questions about his durability, could he take a punch anymore, whatever, I think that put that all to bed at this point. Plus, after winning 6 straight fights, has shown that he can go out there and get finishes. Of those 6 wins, 5 were by finish. So he's a guy that not only is he looking to get these takedowns and not just latch on and hold on for dear life, he is still aggressively looking for these finishes. He has that experience. He has the championship experience. A lot of that is really going into it. But when you look at, Hill on the other side, Hill has definitely done a lot of great things since he's been with the UFC. But over his last few fights, you've seen him get these knockouts. You've seen him knock out Jimmy Crute, like we just talked about. I think that's pretty impressive. But some of these other guys he's knocked out, Ovince St. Preux, Johnny Walker, that's kind of a tailor-made fight for him. Thiago Santos, Santos just not who he is anymore. So the difference in experience, the difference in competition level, a lot of these things are really weighing towards Glover big time in this spot here. And I think the biggest part of this is the fact that I don't believe Hill is going to be staying upright. I don't think he's going to stay on his feet. I don't think he's going to be comfortable at range, working his shots. You see also the way that his stance is. I think his stance is perfect for Glover to get a takedown and hunt for those submissions. That wide stance, that wide kind of karate kind of stance, although Hill is pretty much mostly a boxer, he has that wide stance. That front leg is perfect for Glover to latch onto, get these takedowns, control submission, seek those submissions. But I think the biggest red flag of this whole situation is the fight we just talked about with Jamahal Hill is against Thiago Santos. 6 takedowns. 6 takedowns for Thiago Santos. Now you could be, maybe Hill in the beginning, that first round, hey, didn't expect it, didn't think that I was going to be taken down. Okay, hey, he's a striker, wasn't expecting it. But going into the next round and getting and slowly getting these takedowns, yes, he got out of them. Yes, he scrambled. Yes, it looks great. But the opportunity is absolutely there if Santos can latch on and at least get in tight, at least find the opportunity to latch on. Glover is far more superior when it comes to offensive wrestling, takedowns, grappling, clinching. All of these things are going to be far better for Glover. So that right there is already going to be very alarming with Hill. And also the fact that Darko, back in 2020, took him down 6 times also. These are not guys that are these high-level, guys who are going to be getting these takedowns. And Glover is that high-level guy. So that is really going to be worrisome for him. Plus, I think the threat of these takedowns are going to really keep Hill at bay, more timid, not just freely walking forward. That's the luxury that he has had multiple times when he was fighting some other guys. He has not fought, besides for, really Darko and Santos getting these takedowns. Everybody else pretty much, yes, he's knocked them out early, but they don't offer that threat. They don't offer that threat of just bullying you forward, heavy pressure, level changes, and that's what he's going to be faced. Plus, Teixeira has that old man strength, man. He definitely has that old man strength. He's able to, drag his opponents down, lift them up. He has a lot of those things, and I feel like he's even getting better, which is kind of crazy at 43 years old. And then the last part of this that I think is also important is the fact that over the last 3 fights for Glover, he has 11 takedowns. So again, this is a path for him. This is a clear vulnerability for Hill. And even if you look at really what Glover, who he was preparing for, Glover was preparing for Yuri Prochazka. Now, I don't want to knock Hill. Hill can go out Saturday night and spark out Glover. It's MMA, it's a fight, anything's possible. But if you really look at kind of what Glover was facing to what he's facing now, Glover was going to be facing Yuri, who has far more weapons, way better grappling, way better off of his back, way better striking, more versatile striking, more power, better in the clinch. All these things is what Yuri has. No offense to Hill, but he's kind of like a glorified boxer. He kind of is in the MMA world. He throws some random high kicks, but besides for that, he doesn't really do much else. He can't grapple, he can't seek takedowns, he's not comfortable being pressured, does not have the ability kind of like defensively know what's going on when he's being clinched, pushed up against the fence. All of these things is where he was preparing with Yuri, plus the fact that this is going to be a little bit of a shorter notice, I think about 5 or 6 weeks for Hill, who's going to be coming in on short notice in the biggest fight of his life in Brazil, where Glover calls home. A lot of bad things coming on. Plus, Glover needs a sparring partner that's going to kind of mimic Hill. There's Alex Pereira, who can be the perfect sparring partner for Glover with the striking, the range, the movement, all those things he could really work well with. So I really like Glover here. I think there's so many things, and I kind of tried to give it all to you, not make this video too long, but so many things that I think that Glover really presents. Great opportunity to go out, get this victory, dominate. Yes, early, first couple minutes, it could get a little dicey, but I also don't believe that Glover is at the point where, he's just going to get nailed by one shot and that's going to be it. We've seen he can last with Yuri. I think Glover can do that. Glover can find the finish. I think he's going to get these takedowns. Whether he finds it early or late, I think the finish is absolutely live. But I do love Glover Teixeira here in this spot in the main event, getting him that title. So I like Glover plus 115 to get the job done in the main event. And then their fight, I'm just going to kind of just go over very quickly and just give it out, is Jessica Andrade versus Lauren Murphy. Jessica is a minus 500. You've got the comeback here, and Murphy is plus 360. Now, I'm not going to, again, break this one down too far here, but when you first look at it, you got to look at an angle here if you're going to be playing Andrade. And when you're looking at this thing, first of all, it was a great win for the last time that Andrade was in the cage, beating Amanda Lemos by, it was the first ever standing arm triangle choke in the history of the sport. Amazing. She did a great job. Lemos has been an animal. She has looked great. Her going in there, doing what she did, dominating is a great spot coming into this. And we also got to remember that Andrade is 31. I mean, she has been in the UFC for so long. You feel like she's this aging vet that's, had her opportunity. I mean, 31 is extraordinarily young for how good she is, what she's done in the sport, and I think that there's more to her that she can keep going forward. But you look at, Lauren Murphy, what she does good. Really her only strength, in my opinion, in this fight is just her toughness. She's tough as nails. She's a tough girl. She can take a shot. She wants to try to be the bully. She will move forward aggressively, which I think also plays into what I'm looking to wager in this fight. But she's going to be aggressive. She's going to push forward. She's going to look to try to be the bully. I think that's going to be a tough spot for her to try to bully Andrade out of that. But besides for that, she really lacks in all areas. I mean, there's really not much that I think Lauren Murphy does well. She's got limited striking, sloppy in spots. There too, the footwork is a little bit iffy. I think her combinations are slow. Like, there's just not too much that she does. Could she, look for these takedowns? I don't think that, trying to control the clock a little bit. I think Andrade is going to be way stronger in the clinch. I think she's going to be way stronger on the ground. I think she's going to be landing the way more damaging shots. So the way that I see this is I think Murphy's going to bring it. I think Murphy is looking to get this victory. She's not going to play it safe, or she's not going to be playing it just to kind of show up, knowing that, again, she's a big underdog. It's a tough spot for her. It's a very tough fight. But I think Murphy goes out there. She's a dog. She's going to bring it. She's going to be pushing the pace here. So I really think that she brings nothing offensively, but she will push the pace and get in Andrade's face. So I think this is a great spot for Andrade to go out there, get the job done, get off the big number of minus 500. If you whittle this down to Andrade inside the distance, it's plus 125. That's a great price for what I think this is, where I think this is going to be going. I don't think Murphy's going to have much offense. I think it's going to be all Andrade. I think the body shots are going to be there for Andrade, really hurting her, whether she looks for the takedown or gets the ground and pound finish. I like Jessica Andrade inside the distance at plus 125. So there you have it for my plays for UFC 283. If you want to become a client, link down in the description. And I always appreciate anybody liking, commenting, subscribing, follow me on Twitter at KyleAnthonyUFC, all those things. I do appreciate it. But again, if you want to become a client, link down in the description. And let's see how we do. An awesome card this weekend. Looking forward to it. And let's cash these tickets. This is Kyle Anthony's UFC Betting Show, and I'll see you next time.